Hello and welcome to the Gardner Innovation Search Partners podcast. On this show, we sit down with the brilliant minds guiding the amazing work being performed at universities across the globe. I'm your host, Quinton Thomas, and today we are honored to have Dr. Wilbur Lam. Dr. Lam is a professor and W. Paul Bowers Research Chair in the Department of Pediatrics and the Wallace H. Coulter Department of Biomedical Engineering at Emory University and Georgia Tech. He serves as the Associate Dean of Innovation for Emory University School of Medicine, the Chief Innovation Officer for the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Pediatric Technology Center, and the inaugural Vice Provost for Entrepreneurship at Emory University. Dr. Lam, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. So just to kick it off, can you tell us more about your roles as the Associate Dean of Innovation and the Vice Provost for Entrepreneurship at Emory University?
Sure. So, regarding my role as Associate Dean of Innovation, that's really within the medical school. And what we have at Emory's Medical School, we're at an interesting place because we have a lot of robust energy, whether it's from our faculty, our students, medical students, our residents who really want to do more activities, engage in more activities related to entrepreneurship and commercialization, startup formation. A lot of that has to do with the fact that these young kids, they're kids to me now. A lot of them have digital backgrounds, and because they are trained in this new era, they're constantly thinking about what are new tools that I can make, digital tools, whether it's an app or whether it's an algorithm that can help me better care for my patients. They're very intrigued by that. So we at the medical school want to harness that energy to help them move forward. And we also have several interesting things in terms of infrastructure at the medical school. So first of all, we have what's called Lab to Launch, which is an incubator space. So we have this brand new, beautiful building at Emory. It's called the Health Sciences Research Building 2. On the first floor, there is Emory subsidized space for startups that are affiliated with Emory. And a lot of that is meant for biomedical startups. So we're very excited there. And we also have a rapid prototyping facility. There are very few medical schools that actually have that, and it's right next to the incubator space. And then we even have a virtual reality space as well that is on the same floor. So we're at a pretty interesting time when it comes to innovation here at the medical school. So that's my role as associate dean.
And then in that role as Vice Provost for Entrepreneurship as well, how does that tie in with the work that you're doing as Associate Dean of Innovation? Are there some synergies there or things that cross over between those two responsibilities?
Yeah, absolutely. So when the provost actually asked me to take this role on, initially I said no because I'm busy enough as is, but I thought I could really help out and bring more value to not only operate at the medical school level, but what if we were able to do this at an even higher level at the university level? So that's when we could start helping students, learners, and faculty from other places within Emory, whether it's the public health school or the law school or the college, which is where the undergrads are. Even the School of Theology is starting to get into aspects of commercialization and entrepreneurship. So it's this vice provost office that is able to really harness all that energy and make sure everything's moving in the same direction for everybody here at Emory that's interested in this space.
Yeah, that's great. And you have a unique perspective as researcher, entrepreneur, innovation leader at a top tier university. And I know that you touch innovation at multiple touch points. If someone came to you and asked, why is entrepreneurship important in academia? Then what would you tell them?
Yeah, it's a good question because sometimes we would say, well, academia, we're interested in discovering the truth, right? We don't want to sell out. And I would say that certainly I had kind of that attitude when I was very young, but I came to the realization a few years ago that if you really want to solve a problem at scale in the real world, you can't ignore entrepreneurship and commercialization because we live in a free market, or free-ish market society. And the only way to scale up your solutions, the only way to touch as many people as you can is to figure out how to find a financially sustainable way to bring your solution to the masses. And that has to do with entrepreneurship and commercialization. So, in my mind, it's the final stage of translation of an invention. It's the final stage of solving a problem for society.
Me being an entrepreneur myself, you being an entrepreneur, we can get that and having been in that space. But, how do you balance that? Or just what do you see as far as the balance between the university's role as stewarding, education as an academic institution and entrepreneurship?
Yeah, it's a good question, but I think if done correctly, the two could synergize fairly well, right? In education, you you teach the learners and even its faculty as well, teach them how to bring their idea forward. You enable them to do it a certain way, and then once you get to a certain point, yes, the university does have to say, okay, it's leaving the nest, and I'll use that analogy because we're at Emory. We love birds. We love eagles. So leaving the nest is an
Go Eagles.
important aspect of it. Yeah, is an important aspect of commercialization, right? That the university can help an inventor develop their idea, can help them de-risk their idea to a certain point. And then, yes, there has to be a point in time where it has to enter the real world. But there's no reason why the university can't help the inventor move their technology, their idea, their solution forward, and and really allow all the capabilities and resources that a university has to move that forward.
Yeah. You use this term de-risking the innovations, and I know the university does take on a certain level of work in doing that. But right now, we're starting to see this reluctance of big pharma to invest in early stage innovations. They're wanting to see innovations more de-risked and are willing to pay more for de-risked technologies as opposed to paying less and taking on all the risk themselves. How is Emory University addressing this issue and helping to de-risk innovations?
Yeah, so Emory is really, I would say, leading on the forefront of trying to figure out this problem. And exactly like you said, the market is now at a point where you have the end user, these larger companies, that would much rather wait until an invention is de-risked, and they'll be very happy to pay a lot of money for it, but they want to wait. So how can an institution like Emory adapt? Well, one way is to create resources like I've told you about to help inventors, again, whether they're students, whether they're faculty, whether they're staff, move things forward and de risk. Another thing is to actually set up resources and so that there's funding involved, and that's something that we here at Emory is very focused on. So within my office of the Vice Provost for Entrepreneurship, there's a couple of venture-like funds that we are currently setting up that will exactly address the problem that you're stating, where Emory could act like a venture capitalist internally, where it could find new novel ideas and nurture those new novel ideas within the confines of Emory. And yes, we of course need to be compliant. We need to be good stewards of funds. We need to be a university, but there's no reason why we can't do all that and at the same time really create value and act like a venture capitalist. So we'll be a nice venture capitalist. We'll be like an uncle rather than a typical VC. We'll be an uncle with money bags, basically, right?
Right, right. So that's really cool. And I don't remember if that was actually I don't think that existed when I was still at Emory. So that's
No,
awesome.
in fact we're still mapping it out, and again, there's lots of rules and regulations we need to abide by, but all things point to this being a viable model, and I think we'll actually be able to learn a lot and be a role model for other universities across the country.
Yeah, I love that, and that's one of the goals of this podcast. Also, is to be able to bring useful resources and information to other institutions. Talking about the venture fund, what are some of the things that you've seen as far as like challenges in getting that built out and unique ways, or the unique way that Emory is addressing getting that into place to be able to support innovations there?
Yeah. So the two funds we're setting up, one is geared towards new pharmaceuticals. So, and another is geared towards biomedical devices. And the two paths are pretty different when it comes to the market. Uh, Pharma has a lot of experience in this, and they know exactly what they want, which is kind of what you've alluded to, Quinton. They will watch until a candidate drug uh, has undergone testing, whether it's in animals or whether it's in humans, and whether it's a clinical trial, phase one, two, or three. They know exactly what the path for success is. With medical devices, the paths are a little bit more murky and more nuanced, and therefore we need to set up these two venture funds to respond accordingly. So, on the one hand, the path is much more prescriptive when it comes to drug development. On the other hand, when it comes to medical devices, we need to be more nimble and we need to be more creative. And that's where we actually want to bring in entrepreneurs to help de risk the technologies that this venture fund will support.
Awesome. And I just want to give you some space, even just highlighting Emory, like if there are any other initiatives that Emory is taking to help move, just translate research, get them to the market. Are there any other initiatives that you'd like to talk about or share?
Yeah, yeah. So if you're really talking about innovation, you kind of need to talk about the whole pipeline, right? The from ideation all the way to product. And I think we kind of talked in reverse, right? We're talking at the end, which is where there's already an idea. We're talking about nurturing it. It's already on its path to being de-risked. And then at some point, Emory will quote unquote partner or sell it off to an investor or to a larger company. Now, therefore, we also have to think about the other end, right? The very beginning of inventorship, which is where do you come up with the ideas? So that's where we want to focus a lot on students. So we have an infrastructure, a center. It's called the Hatchery, and it is at Emory Point, and that is geared towards our learners. Right now, geared towards our undergrads, but we're now also thinking of grad students, medical students, helping them generate new ideas for entrepreneurship. And what we hope is to have as many student-led ventures, student-led companies to be born out of the hatchery as possible. And we're very excited about that. It's already done pretty well. There's been about 30 to 40 ventures that have come out of there that are undergraduate focused, undergraduate led. Now we want to add more fuel to the fire and bring different types of learners as well, and also bring in AI aspects of it, digital aspects of it, because again, a lot of these young learners already have that background and they're wanting to leverage their own interests and background to create solutions to problems in the real world.
Great. Wow. I love it. And so, with all of that, I just want to leave it on this note. What do you see as the future of innovation at academic institutions like Emory University?
Yeah, I think the future of innovation is probably more of what I just said. We will have more and more people that have ideas baked in, whether they're young 18-year-old undergrads or people like myself, who, getting middle age, but thinking, ooh, I think I could solve a problem doing it this way. I think there's going to be more interest in this, and there's going to be more interest in doing this in the academic setting. Because on the one hand, in academia, we have this capability to explore anything that's intellectually interesting, and that's where some really high risk, high reward ideas can take place. But then once you actually strike gold, you want to be able to say, okay, wow, now I want to get this into the real world. So I think that combined mindset of not only wanting to be intellectually curious, but also wanting to create real world solutions, I think more and more people are going to have that. And I certainly see that in my kids' generation and the students that we have here at Emory. So I think that's only going to increase. And that's an exciting time for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, everyone, we've been here with Dr. Wilbur Lam from Emory University. Wilbur, thank you so much for coming on to the Gardner Innovation Search Partners podcast.
Thanks for having me.